For this particular portion of the video, we're going to go over the NAVMAC 10560, which is basically a worksheet for preventive maintenance and technical inspection for engineer equipment. It's primarily used for the limited technical inspection for the engineer asset principal in items that is scheduled to go into maintenance for repairs. Or at least in our case, we're going to use it as an example of how it should be filled out for the corrective maintenance piece of engineer equipment assets. Basically, the mechanic is the individual that's going to go ahead and fill out the limited technical inspection. The owning unit, once it turns over the equipment to the mechanic, the maintenance section in turn will go ahead and perform a limited technical inspection and find out everything that could be or can be wrong with that particular principal end item. It's a very simple process. Most of it's self-explanatory. It's basically broken down into different sections. It's section A through P. We'll go ahead and go over the initial portion, which is section A. First, we'll go ahead and enter the nomenclature of the principal end item. Second thing we're going to list is the make of the actual end item, and the next block is the model of the end item. Next will be the organizational block, and basically the organizational block is the unit that actually owns the equipment. In the date block, you will put in the date that the actual LTI was being prepared. In the hours or miles block, you will enter the hours or miles that's on the equipment once you start your limited technical inspection. Some equipment is listed in hours and some is listed by miles. Next is the registration number of the equipment. You're going to verify the registration number that is listed in the equipment record jacket. In the engine make and model block, in that particular location, you're going to enter the serial number from the equipment's engine or model block. Next is the attachment block. Basically, if you have some type of attachment, an example would be a D7 bulldozer that may have a ripper or a winch as an attachment. In the attachment section, you're going to list the nomenclature of the attachment, and you're also going to list the make, model, and serial number of that particular attachment. In the lower portion of section A, you will also list as required if the equipment has the following items, which is the equipment record folder, if publications are available, the appearance of the equipment, operator's daily PM, if it has a fire extinguisher, tools, and equipment. Section B is optional, but basically what you would do for section B is you would list any non-satisfactory items that we're going to go over down the list when we go through sections D and M. So basically, if you find any defects, you would go ahead and list it in the section B area of the form. Go ahead and scroll down here a little bit. Section C is only required if we're doing a condition code, and for our period of instruction, which relates to a corrective maintenance piece, we won't be overly concerned about the condition code. Basically what we have here is a list of items that need to be checked off as satisfactory or not. If we go back up to the heading portion, we'll go ahead and just go back up to section A, and you see the service symbols here. You would go ahead and list either the corresponding service symbols or legends for markings in the space provided in sections D through M. So basically, let's go down to D5 where you have a crankcase leak, or oil filter. If there was a defect there or it wasn't within standards, you would go ahead, go back up to your service list and make the corresponding response to that particular section. And this portion of the checklist will be the same, the entire list down. It's broken down by engine and power units, powertrains, frame and suspensions, so on and so forth. So it's basically a checklist for all the items that are listed on that particular piece of equipment. So we're checking for everything once it comes into the maintenance cycle before we go ahead and proceed with the corrective maintenance piece. The end portion is primarily for modification instructions. If you're performing a modification, it can be listed in this particular section right here. For our period of instruction, we won't be concerned about modifications, but if a piece of equipment goes in for corrective maintenance and a modification has been determined or noticed, that modification can be completed at that particular time. Section O, as you can see, goes over the instruction piece of how the sections will be broken down in conjunction with performing the limited technical inspection. Section P lists the mechanic / operator's name, who's performing the LTI. The next section is maintenance and operations chief, the aero number, and the date that the aero was open. The maintenance operations officer, as required, will have his name listed at the bottom, and the responsible officer as required. These are our steps for the limited technical inspection. Once the responsible officer or the maintenance officer has verified that the items listed, the defects listed on a limited technical inspection or the LTI, has been transferred to the equipment repair order, you no longer have to keep the limited technical inspection. So at that point, it can be destroyed.